I knew was a racist and running a slave house. It was my freshman year and we were doing a project in chemistry. The group project and the teacher gave us a week to work on it. Let's call this girl Caroline. Caroline was pretty rich. She lived in a mansion and her father owned a jewelry company that was notorious for their rings. There were a couple of rumors about her being racist, but she was so nice and there was never any proof for it. I usually don't believe in rumors without proof. So before time ran out of class, she offered to continue the project at her house. I was the only person that could go, so I agreed. She said she'd pick me up at 3 p.m. and we would stay for however long I wanted. The next day, I got ready and she texted me she was outside. I walked out and she was in a limousine that was white with gold rims. I entered the car and told her this was nice and she said thank you. She gave me ice cream and we talked. We got along pretty well. We ended up arriving and there was this beautiful mansion. The grass was green, the roses were red, everything was so nice. There was a tree a little bit in the backyard and there was a rope hanging from it. I was confused, but I brushed it off. The driver was black and a black woman opened our car door. She guided us to the front area and you will not believe what happened next. Maids lined up to say hello. It was only black maids though. They were dark skin or brown skin, nothing above or in between. It was really odd because I thought there would be some diversity. I brushed it off and didn't pay attention. Walked down a hall and saw certain flags that made me uneasy. I saw a Confederate flag, swastika symbol, a Donald Trump flag. She said these flags sucked and made her uncomfortable and I just nodded. So then we went to her room and it was so nice. It was pink, white, and gold. We sat down and did our project. Her father knocked and walked in. He saw me and stared at me for a moment and was confused. Are you one of the workers' daughters? Before he could finish, Caroline grabbed his arm and walked away with him. I'm black, keep in mind you. If that already wasn't obvious. I was offended by this and put my ear against the door and heard a little bit of the conversation. She said she brought me over because rumors were going around that she was racist. He said okay as long as I don't carry any diseases. She came in and apologized and I said it's okay. Just as I was about to say I wanted to leave, the father came in and offered to stay for dinner. And I said sure. Maybe he was trying to be polite after all. You will not believe what happened next. Come back for part 3. Our project around 6 p.m. and it was time for dinner. She walked me down the hall, same flags, and walked me into the dining room. The table was long, the plates were plated in gold and white, and the food looked so good. It was steak, asparagus, grapes, a salad, and some water, and some type of homemade juice. It was just maids setting down the table, but they were just black. Again. I sat down and continued eating my food. The father asked me if I liked it, and I said I did. He said I was grass-fed and high quality and that this was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So after a black maid came into the room and began pouring his wine, she accidentally spilled it on him and he screamed, "This is why I can't stand your people, you N-word." And he took off his belt and whipped her. I got up and ran out of the room. Caroline was running after me until I eventually ran out of the house. I managed to call my mom to get me an Uber and went back home. That was one of the most disturbing experiences in my life and I don't ever want to experience that again. I never talked to her again. She paid me $300 not to say anything, but I said something anyways. Lesson learned, stick with your own folks. Just kidding. Murder of my best friend's dog. I used to be friends with this girl, let's call her Katrina, for 4 years and we got along pretty well. We liked the same color, food, had the same music taste, and fashion. I had bipolar disorder at the time, keep in mind you. I was 15 at the time and she was 16. She joined the cheer squad and then she started distancing from me. One day I went to her house because she hadn't been contacting me at all and I asked her what was wrong and she claimed she thought I was busy, even though the cheer squad was behind her. I started complaining about how she never talks to me anymore and how I felt. She disregarded my feelings and said that I wasn't cool. I just stared at her. She literally became the people you used to make fun of. I told her she'd regret this and she laughed and said, okay, we'll see. I went back home and couldn't think of anything. The next day at school, her and the cheer squad were laughing at me and making fun of me. I just looked at them and looked away. They would make fun of me on the regular and it bothered me at first, not going to lie, but I moved forward. I started to hate Katrina. I wanted to punch her in the face and make her cry. One day, Katrina's parents called me, and you will not believe what they said. Come back for part 2. I slept with my best friend's boyfriend and gave him and her an STD. It was like 2 years ago during junior year and I had just downloaded Tinder. Now I know I'm supposed to be 18, but I didn't care and continued talking to guys anyways. I eventually decided that I wanted to lose my virginity because my best friend had just gotten a boyfriend and lost hers. I didn't want to be a loser, so I gave in and finally met up with one of my Tinder matches. He was like 25? I don't really remember. His name was Joshua and he told me he was extremely experienced, so I felt like I was in good hands. We slept together and it actually went pretty well and we didn't use a condom. He bought me food after and then drove me home. I told my bestie and she was so proud of me and I felt like I could finally fit in. I wasn't at risk of being an outcast. So we decided to go get this little get together at some kid's house where there was tons of booze and marijuana. Obviously, I didn't bring any, so I just used what was provided. I got cross-faded really bad, and my best friend's boyfriend decided to help me upstairs and get into bed, so I didn't puke all over myself. He started rubbing my feet and telling me to relax, but we couldn't stop laughing because we were both so effed up really bad. Eventually, he got into bed with me and started playing with my hair and stuff, and I felt kind of bad because I knew what I was doing. You will not believe what happened next. Come back for part 2. He crossed the face hard and told me to get out of the room. I cried and went to my room. Why was he being so mean to me? The next day at school, Mrs. Cecile called me over. She asked me why there's a bruise on my face, and I told her. Cops then showed up in my elementary school and took me in for questioning. They asked me what happened, and I told them everything. Folder, the symbol I saw, the girls, everything. I went home and my father wasn't there. I asked my mother, "Where's father?" She said, "That is no longer your father." I was confused and sad, but I didn't ask anything else. We moved to another state over and I never saw him again. I'm currently 16 years old now and realized what my father did was wrong. He took some of the missing girls in town and had customers do unimaginable things. He's in prison still and was sentenced for 50 years. The scariest part was, I could have been his next victim, since I remember seeing a photo of me in there as well. Turns out the heart symbol was as well a pedo trafficking symbol. I hope those kids were found and are okay. Lesson learned, be observant of your surroundings. Follow for more story times.